Welcome back, and I hope you're joining us as the end of the series. And if you haven't, I would even encourage you to go back and watch the other parts of this series before you get to this one. It will be worth your time. I don't want to take your time away from you without giving you something of greater value, and so we try to do that. Now, I told you from the beginning that we would use the last segment of our video series to try to give you an opportunity to enroll in our and become an owner with us, a part of our team here on what we are doing. So this is where I tell you my story, and it's where I hope you will see fit to join our cause. And so we have elements on many, many levels for you to participate. So let's have a look at them. Some of them will cost you a little tiny bit of money. Some of them might cause you to digger into your own pockets and say, that's valuable, I want to be a part of that. And some of you will simply want more free stuff because you're still evaluating who are these people and what are they after, and is it worth my joining up or being a part of this. And so this is the easiest part. So I'm going to come into my story first. This is who I am. I am Jael, and I have had a long and wonderful music career so far, along with doing a lot of other things. Now, here's why I got into all of this stuff. I got into the art because I was gifted as a lyricist. Primarily, I could write about things that other people didn't write about. I could make them sound good and appealing and be far outside of the range of your normal lyricist. And so I don't claim to be a normal lyricist. I claim to be an extraordinary lyricist. That doesn't mean that I'm the best. It simply means that what I do is uniquely different. And if you get very deep into my songs, you will find that out. So I invite you to do that. I invite you to explore my stuff and to find out that whether I'm writing religious content or non-religious content, the depth in my lyrics is going to be rewarding to you at a certain level. And some of it, if it doesn't relate to you, that's fine. Some of it will. And I have, right across the spectrum, seen a lot of response. I've written songs for children. I've written songs for adults. I've written songs for people who are not sure. I've written songs for things that about certain causes that will make you angry. I've written songs that will make you happy. I've written songs that will make you cry. And that's the claim of, I think, anybody who trades in the art realizes they're trading in emotion. And so you're going to experience the whole gamut of emotions. I hope you like the music. It's not in one genre. I've done 33 albums to date. There will be more very shortly because especially when I show you what you can be a part of, you'll see what's coming. And my 33rd album, which I recorded the end of 2018 and is being mixed yet and still worked on the production of it, still happening right now. It will be out hopefully by November 8th, which is the date I said to keep in mind in a previous video. So why have I developed like this with all these different sort of outreaches, some in alternative medicine, some in art, some in all these different fields that I've covered? Well, I had 12 children. One thing, growing up in a large family myself as the oldest, and my father had a business, and I always wished that my father's business had room for things beyond our inventions that made a difference to his vision of his business. I wish that his vision of his business had included our visions for that business, but it didn't. My little brother was very compliant to my father's vision, and he ended up inheriting that business. And a lot of us contributed many, many things to the business along the way. And it kind of, I don't want to say, for the sake of the people who are happily engaged in all what we're doing now, which includes me, I don't want to say that it was a disappointment to the sake of, hurting so bad inside but it did hurt. I mean, it was the kind of thing that said, all right, you gave so much, and then in the end, it was kind of like the business supported you, and you should be grateful for that, and just leave well enough alone. Just let it be. But my father tried to make sure that the vision of the future of that business would be only what he had for that vision, for that business. And I, early on in life, decided that I did not want to do that to my kids. So I built a business that encompassed their vision, whatever they felt was going to be valuable. And most of it was artistically based, because that's the way we were. We just grew up like that. So my goal was that whatever the children wanted, we would have a division of the company at least that would embrace that, that would develop that for them, that would let them, when they got ready to go, would be giving them something that they could simply take with them and go and make as big as they wanted or as small as they wanted. So that's my story. My story is based on trying to develop some things for my kids. So I had kids gifted in music, and we involved them in the music. We involved them in children's programming. We involved them on the stage. We involved them in writing. And so my oldest now runs a publishing house that we love to call home for our own stuff that's nonfiction and for adults. And perhaps at some point maybe she will do the novels that I have on the shelf and have created. The reason that she's never really considered that is not because she hasn't considered it, but because I haven't finished it. So I've got things that are mostly developed, and quite a number of novels that are like 90% finished. Yet they're not finished, and until they're finished, she can't release them. So perhaps that's where all of our stuff will go as adult material. Now, my daughter does not want to publish my children's picture books, and I have other kids that have pursued fine art and who have developed illustrations for my books and who have done things like that. And so we are a team. We are functioning as a team, and yet they are also very independent. One of those independent artist daughters has created the whole Figgy line. So she has been an illustrator and painter of shoes for the who's who of the world. She has Hollywood clients and the political who's who, and all these people are wearing her designs because she's amazing at it. And if you go to Figgy Shoes, she'll have a Pinterest account, and she has other things and blogs and all kinds of stuff. And so we have Figgy Shoes on one hand, and we have Little Dozen Books on another offshoot business to what we've done it. These things are supporting my children now. In addition to that, Naomi is a cake decorator, and she's done amazing things, closed down the baking side of the business. We got into keto baking and specialty baking, things like gluten-free vegan stuff and all kinds of things. And if you have a special need, we have a special niche developing these particular products for people, because the need is there, the ability is there, the creativity is there, and the call is there. So these are things that my family now does that I have less of an interest in. When we first got that bakery going, I was interested in the chocolate more than the baking. I, from a medical point of view, loved raw chocolate and some of its basic properties, and there are some tremendous values to that part of my story. And so I also, being a creative person, decided to uniquely flavor chocolate. And so we developed a 76 flavor chocolate line called Sweet Somethings Fudge. And fudge is made of real chocolate. It's not the foam, or it's not the marshmallow creams and the high sugar content of other fudge on the market. It's not a low sugar product, so I don't want to give diabetics a lot of, come and get this sort of thing. Diabetics are better served by unsugared raw chocolate, which is insulin mimetic, and we can get into a discussion on that. But the point is, it came out of things that we were good at, and we did. And so we developed that line, and that line continues today. It's quite a brand within our baking company, Sweet Somethings Chocolate. So it's got its own Facebook page and other things like that. So my story is quite multi-tentacled, it's multi-faceted out there, but it comes right back to who I am as a creator. And the value of creation for me is being made in the image of a creator. And so if it's creative, I'm in love with it already. So I have learned to recognize talent around me. I've learned to realize that I'm not the best at everything. Some people find the music after a while, depending on the period that I'm writing in, some find the music tremendously varied and helpful and wonderful to listen to. And I have found it's helpful if I take songs from different writing periods and put them together on the same album, because then it keeps your attention better. If I did 10 songs I wrote in a row, you kind of look at them and think of them like a Boston album. Now, for those of you that don't remember Boston, let me summarize it for you. They came out with their first album, and by the time they came out with their second album, everybody thought it was still their first album, and their third album, everybody thought it was still their first album, because you really couldn't tell the difference. They were built on a sound, and that sound was unique and refreshing for one album, and then it got tired, and so the life of the band Boston, which is really one guy anyway, really kind of was short-lived, and it didn't last. So my albums, 33 of them, last because every 3 albums I basically changed my genre. I changed it up. It did not help me get popular. Obviously, you don't know who I am, for most of you, as far as a musician goes. And some of you will remember me as Jim Thompson II and Pre-Flight and all those early bands, Direct Current and the 8-piece Jesus Joy Band and other things from the early days, some of which had only cassette releases. And some of them we got to vinyl and released on vinyl, and it became my first 10 projects out there. So most of the albums, if you go looking for them today, you can't find them because they were never released by a major. They were never widely distributed. So within the small group of distribution we had difficulties storing master tapes. And when a flood finally hit the studios, and we went through actually 3 different disasters, but we'll just call it all a flood for a minute. It basically had wiped out all the masters, so we don't have a lot left. We have some products, some of which is worse for wear and sounds like it, and we don't want to release it again. I wouldn't mind re-recording it for posterity sometime, but that's the future and the past. So to tell my whole story, I have been beset by obstacles, not the least of which is my latest obstacle, which is a stroke. Now this stroke is a little different because obviously I can communicate with you. I'm not unable to be understood. Most strokes affect one side of the body or the other. Mine doesn't. Mine affects both sides, but very differently than you normally perceive it. That's because the stroke I've had is a cerebellum stroke. Now that's the base part of the brain. It's not really one side or the other. It does affect some very important functions, and so half of the inside of my body on my right side doesn't work very well. My right eye doesn't work very well. My limbs I have learned to control, but they don't want to work very well. On the other side of my body, on the left side, so normally a stroke will just affect one and the other side will be basically normal. In my case, I have lost all normal feeling. If you touch me very lightly on any side, any part of my left side of my body, there's extreme pain. There's a lot of neuropathy. Touching me with a firmer grip, that pain goes away and I feel nothing. I feel numbness. I feel no hot or no cold. I feel no liquid, no dry on that side of my body. And so it's like living in a coffin, really, with 2 different halves that don't function in even ways. They're not equally deprived and they're not equally capable. And yet both sides suffer deficiencies. This has led me to the next biggest challenge, which is that I have to live every day as though it's my last. The part of my brain that is obstructed, the artery, is one of the most difficult to operate on. Nobody is, by the way, talking about operations to take care of my problem, because even though the doctor looked at the MRI and said, you never know, it's one of those things that you could be here today and gone tomorrow, but we expect further incidents from you. We expect you to go this way because you are in trouble. Your artery is very blocked in that one section. But it's so high up in my brain that it's not good to operate. Very, very low chance of either survival or not being permanently disabled if they try to operate. So nobody's in a hurry to do that, and they're waiting on things. So what I have found is that as a naturopath, I've been very interested in medical things. So I knew about experiments going on with the kinds of situations that would benefit me. So I have been very fortunate. I know of things that will be very, very helpful, none of which is approved by any kind of insurance. So there isn't anybody who will pay for experimental things, especially things that change the balance of the probabilities of being successful. If there's a small chance that it won't be successful, insurance will go, well, that's a reason not to pay for it. But I like the odds of 80% getting completely healed with some of these treatments to the odds of 90% not coming off permanently disabled. So those are the kinds of choices before me. So the option for me in my story is I want to get experimental treatment. Why would God not heal me supernaturally when part of my story is in the past He has reached in and healed me supernaturally from very tough situations? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, it may be His way of taking me out. That's okay if that's part of the plan. And I'm totally all right with that. I'm ready to go. But here's the other part of it. The other part of it is that sometimes He plants a seed and He waits for the tree to grow. And that is what intrigues me about my illness and knowing what I know. Yes, it's expensive to get treated, but my very treatment may lead to breakthroughs in other people's suffering. If that's the case, then I understand why He planted this particular seed in my life of this stroke. Because if I can come back to full capacity from where I am right now, it will lead the way for other people. And so I'm excited about that. I think it's a really good purpose for going through the challenges and the difficulties I'm going through right now. To do that, however, it does take some money, and that's why we're using this video to make this offer today. I'm having a dinner on November the 8th. That's a fundraising dinner. The cost is $25. So I said to you right up front, what I'm going to ask you to do today is not something that's going to be very financially challenging. And it's not. If you can buy a ticket for that dinner, whether you come or not, that will be a wonderful thing and a way to contribute to the success of the event that we're having. We only have 600 seats available for dinner. It's an all-you-can-eat pasta dinner. It's going to happen in Windsor, Ontario. And for some of you, that's going to be beyond reach just because of its location. You're going to need a passport, and you're going to need a month to get the passport if you don't have one, if you're coming from somewhere else in the world. And so you want to be able to do that. I'm going to encourage you to get your passport. That's $100. I'm going to encourage you to get a plane ticket and come to the dinner. The dinner is going to be phenomenal, not just from the sake of it's an all-you-can-eat dinner. I mean, you can get those anywhere. And pasta, no big deal. We also have gluten-free options, by the way. They're going to have some risotto and some things, spinach and so on, for people that are gluten-free and for vegans. So you're welcome to come and be a part of this and choose those options for yourself. But in addition to that, we're going to have some of the very finest musicians in the world on that program. I have been privileged to work with a lot of very good names and a lot of big people, but the people that are coming to my dinner, if I had to choose who I would want to play for that night, are the best. And I tell you, without reservation, you're going to be incredibly excited about being at that concert. So aside from entertainment, why should you come to the dinner? What do you get out of it? Well, let's go back to the previous videos. We've been laying out a pattern for you so that you can see us do what we're telling you to do. So if you come, you can donate far more than your cash towards your own development. I say donate towards your own development because that's really what this is about. This is about you getting involved in a cause you care about at whatever level, 4 or 5 different causes that can be utilized in this one event. And so you might want to give time. We have all these different possibilities and donation of talent, and that's a level of involvement and a level of opportunity that exists in this event that will go on. Just to put this into a greater perspective so that you see it. We have children's picture books. They're part of literacy campaigns that we'll be doing. We have further teaching videos that we're going to be putting out there. We have other things that we are doing that are going to last far beyond the impact of this one event. Now, the impact of this one event is a kickoff, if you will, of an involvement with us that continues. And that is the true opportunity of what we're offering you here. So yes, we're offering you the opportunity to come to a concert, to pay $25 to come and meet us face to face, to check us out further at whatever level. At whatever level you decide to be involved in all the different opportunities here. But we're really giving you the opportunity to begin something that has a future that lasts even if I don't recover. We will tell you that we will hit our goals. Our financial goals for the dinner, by the way, is to get me 1 of 5 treatments. So this is obviously not going to be the end, and if we exceed our goals, of course, it'll get me more treatments and those things, and they are differing price tags. The very first one that we're shooting for is $15,000 US, about 22.5 Canadian, and that will give me my first treatment. And unfortunately, while that treatment will get me back to full capacity and function, it's not permanent, so it wears off, and so I'm going to need more of those treatments if I were not picking up the other 4, which will actually fix me permanently, and that's the goal. So the first one is called paraspinal etanercept, and the second one, that is really the bulk of what I need, is called MSC treatment. It's mesenchymal stem cell treatment. It's very ethical. It's not. We don't involve embryonic stem cells at all. We're not doing those kinds of things. But the treatment is very effective, and it's out there, and it's not accepted by any insurances. So that's about a $35,000 US price tag on that, and then to make that treatment even more effective, we then follow up with things like hyperbaric oxygen and some combating the oxidative damage with a protocol that does more. So what I'm trying to get across is that there are a total of 5 treatments that are designed to get me completely well. One of them I'm already involved in, and that is the development of something fairly new. It's very, but it's designed to dissolve the clots that are already, not just dissolve the clots, but also to reopen the arteries that are already problematic. They won't heal me, but they will prevent further events. So that's what's happening right now, and where we're spending our money that's coming in off of our GoFundMe page. By the way, if you have been to the GoFundMe page, or you have not been to the GoFundMe page, I'm going to recommend that you do. Look for JL, Hope for Healing, Windsor, Ontario. There's a lot of Hope for Healings out there. I didn't realize that when I set it up, and they don't tell you. You just have to create your title, and then they give it to you, and then they tell you, there's 43,000 other ones. So anyway, look for, you're going to need these qualifiers. You're going to need JL, JAEL, and then Hope for Healing, and then Windsor, Ontario. And if you do all of that, you will get to the right site. There are a lot of video updates that keep coming out on that page that keep you abreast of how the treatment is going and how I'm functioning. And so subscribe to that, even if you choose not to give through that site. We're encouraging you not to. We're encouraging you to go to the dinner with this video. And if you miss it, and if you miss all the other things, there's always that option that you can give through that site. But if you do go on and you do subscribe, you will stay up to date on what's happening. So I encourage you to go there and at least subscribe, get the updates from me from that page. So how to get there? The place is called the Fogelar Furland. That's Fogolar. Furland is Furlan. And you can look that up on the internet. It's in Windsor, Ontario. There's only 600 seats available for dinner. And then we expect probably that number to grow to maybe 1,000 for the concert. Now the fee is $25 flat. Whether you come for the dinner or you just come for the concert, you will be well served. $25 for the caliber of concert we're doing is practically unheard of in the world out there right now. So it's just an amazing event. And of course, when you come and you're live in person, you're going to make an effort to get to know the team, get to know the people that are responsible, that are the movers and shakers behind the event. Now, there will be people there for the art reasons. There'll be lots of people to meet in our Christian music business, which isn't, exclusively, as I said, it's not exclusively a religious content idea. I really want to get into this for a minute because it's important that you understand, because we get a lot of requests for people that say, are you looking for musicians? Are you you're a label? Are you gonna push stuff out there for me if I submit to you and go through the process? We don't have a normal A&R process. Obviously, we have a very different approach to the world than most record companies do, and so I'm not encouraging people to simply send us a demo tape and say, can we be a part of you? I really want to build a core of musicians, and everybody in the JLT Records family has basically done this. We got to know each other. We became part of each other's bands. We did a lot of work that was not, for ourselves. If I had been tight-fisted with JLT Records, the CD that we have available, the double CD, would not exist. So you need to see that we have a very different approach, and that the core strategies of building our audience is exactly how we have developed, and we are putting that out there for you. So if you're a musician looking to donate your skills and your time and so on, it's a different world to become a part of JLT Records. It's not impossible, but it is a different standard or a different procedure than you would do with a normal record label. So I want you to understand that. And of course, if you want to donate time of other things as part of your involvement here, we encourage that. We have people like web designers, graphic designers, anybody who remotely touches our business, filmmakers, obviously. We have a number of movie treatments that we own that we're welcoming people to become a part of, and to own whatever part that they want or negotiate with the rest of us. We're not tight-fisted. We're looking for partners as well as for cash donors. And if you can't show up, and you send us an email, and we're going to put the email in this someplace around this video so that you're able to get a hold of us. But if you send me an email and say, I'm not planning to be at the dinner, here's my ticket price because I want to support what's going on. It's a donation. So we're not actually selling this. We're actually giving away a double CD from the dinner. Now let me explain about this double CD so you totally get it. One side will be the kind of CD you would expect to purchase and go, wow, is that ever a great CD? It'll contain 15 songs. It's an hour long. That's just one disc. So it's like a double CD that you're paying for in the very first disc, but we have 2 discs, both of which are an hour long. So the first disc is going to be people who are on the label that I founded and that have worked with me through the years, or I have been a part of their careers in some way, and they've been part of the JLT Records family. So you're going to get a variety compilation first disc. Lots and lots of fun, lots and lots of variety, and you're going to love it, I promise that. Secondly, the second disc is just me and a piano or an acoustic guitar, and maybe a couple other instruments if I did the demo in a studio. But it's going to be basically 18 demo songs that aren't on disc anywhere. One exception. One is on a disc. But 18 songs that need further studio development. And so I cannot do those songs any better than they're done unless we get well. That means I have to get my voice back. I have to get my balance back. I have to get a lot of things. You may wonder, why are you doing this video series sitting on a couch? Because I can't do it standing up. I would fall over, and we'd have to stop it and edit. We do have to stop and edit even for these little things, but we do that. So how to participate? You can donate by buying a ticket. If you're a corporation and you want to have some promotional opportunities, we have that level of buy-in. You can either donate prizes, become recognized. You can donate cash for the Healing Fund. To get all things done, we're going to need to raise about $70,000 US. Most of our promotion is done in Canadian dollars, and that's about 2/3 of what we need. And so we've put $70,000 as a goal, thinking that this was going to be an American thing. We were doing it on an American website, and they converted it to Canadian dollars as a goal, and it's not. So just so you're aware of that. So if you're giving from an American place, understand that there is an exchange rate and that you're giving less if you give a flat number in Canadian dollars than you are in American dollars. So you might want to check out the exchange rate and see what you really want to do, and then make a donation accordingly. So that's another level of buy-in, and I encourage you to do that if that's where you are in your journey, and these messages and this gift of series that I've given to you and life lessons has been worth that. Give something to the healing goal. Also, it is a wonderful sponsorship opportunity, as I've said, and if you want to get some advertising value from that, there are a number of ways we reach out to you in that community. Send me an email about that, and we'll send you off a link so that you can examine the different things that are available as sponsorship options that will benefit your business. So when I tell you that $25 is the ticket price for both the dinner and the concert, either together or separately, doesn't matter. It's the charity aspect of this. This is for a donation. It's not we're not selling it. We're asking for a donation in exchange for, and everybody here is donating their time for this event to happen. We're not paying the bands. We're not paying anybody. They are extraordinary people who are recognizing that this is the way we have built the JLT Records story. And they are all part of this. And so we're excited that what we're showing you is putting into practice the things we've been giving you. So it's not limited to 25. If you wanted to give a bigger donation and just say, send me a CD, we're happy to do that. We're not going to send the CD for less than 25. You're going to get value for that. So if you're not coming to the dinner, you want the CD, go ahead, and 25 is the minimum, but you can donate and receive a CD for that. If you want to cover the cost of shipping, that's entirely up to you. We're willing to cover that for the CD price, or for the 25 donation. So there are people at the dinner who are able to connect with you because of their focus on the art. And there are people there who will be at the dinner ready to focus with you on things like the medical recovery. And so you'll find people like naturopaths, chiropractors, people who are interested in what is going on medically from the opportunities created around this event. In addition to that, you're going to be able to network with people who are there for the spiritual reasons. People who come along and say, we love your approach to what you're doing, the ministry of what you do. The fact is that this is a very interesting story in my story. I was going along being a very happy Jesus musician and coming up against the obstacles of the CRTC in Canada, which was a regulatory commission that actually prevented Christian stations. You couldn't have a radio station that was committed to Christianity in Canada because the definition of Canada was a multicultural nation, and to have a viewpoint, a religious viewpoint in particular, was clearly not serving all Canadians, and so they prevented licensing of stations that were that way until eventually we won some battles, and we Three Hills, Alberta was a 100% Bible college town, and so they allowed a station there because it served 100% of the community. And then there was one in Nova Scotia, or Newfoundland rather, that they allowed, and now there's a sort of a compromise. I call it a deal with the devil, where they allow a network of stations to exist with all kinds of restrictions. So that's Canada. That's your socialism government at work, trying to tell you what you can listen to, what you can't, and what you can. It doesn't matter what the economics or the prevailing sentiment is in the community. You're going to be controlled. So that's a little rant maybe, but it's part of what you can do. You can network with people then that are concerned about the ministry aspects of what we do. So back in the day when we were in those kinds of situations, God called me away from Christian music in particular. At the time it was all evangelical. We were the Jesus music pioneers. It was before contemporary Christian music really was the label. And then it became that while I was in the middle of this process. And so in the States there was no problem. I could be a contemporary Christian musician, but really not in Canada. And so we had to make a change. And as I studied this process, I learned that I could follow Jesus and be a parable teller. I didn't have to come out and do religious stories. I could tell parables in my music that would teach God's principles. And so I became very much a non-religious kind of painter with words of different approaches to life. And that led me into a whole new era. I started making songs that actually became hits, and we eventually got a platinum record out of Asia, and we had some charted hits in Canada, and that led to me being able to develop other people as well. So, and they didn't necessarily have the same vision or viewpoint that I did, and so we were wide open to them as long as they had a openness to God and to His development of art in the world. We were very interested in what people did. There were people I was interested in and listened to that had an anti-God viewpoint. Not because I was so much interested in the viewpoint, but I was interested in their creativity and in their development. And them as people, creative, made in the image of God, whether they knew it or not. So I became interested in them. They were not going to be on my label, but they were people that I worked alongside of and helped out and tried to do my very best for them. For that reason, that I was an example of Christ in their world. Made no bones about that, by the way. Just because you're working on a project that you don't necessarily say eye to eye with all the time, you can keep your stand, and you can take a stand and be the person you're supposed to be in that situation. So That's work and that's life. So there are people that you will network with that are on board with my mission, my vision, my viewpoint in the world. And then finally, of course, there are people that are there for business reasons. There are people who are there for the aspect of the principles as applied to the business world. And so leadership is something you're going to encounter, and business acumen and sources of financing and all of those kinds of things will also be at the dinner. And we want you to be able to realize, so your purpose in coming, if you come to the dinner, is to face meet with these people in whatever niche you're in, and you will prosper by doing so. That is the purpose. Okay, so we're offering you all of those opportunities in this one invitation. I also want to tell you that you can participate in ways that cost you nothing. You can join up on our email list, and we're going to put a link here where you can go and become a part of that email list, because whether or not you're just checking us out and you want to see further and you want to see more free content, if you want to see more music before you make decisions, you can do all of those things. Just join the email list and tell us that you want to stay in touch. It's a way of enrolling with us in a way that will continue to give you something, and it costs you nothing. So that's one level of enrollment. And so we have all of those things. So you can buy into the artistic vision, you can buy into the healing vision, you can buy into the vision that we have for a future. One of the things about our artistic vision for the future is that the art in book form, that the art for writers, for example, or the art in music form for musicians or recording artists, or even people who own studios who buy into our vision. We've got one mentioned Studio 33 in San Jose, California, who is owned by a guy who was one of my very first guitarists in the Jesus music bands, and he has volunteered to do some things. We've got video studios and we've got audio studios that are part of our sponsorship group, and people that are working with us in many areas. So that's another level of buy-in. If you see a way that you can be helpful to our team, if you want to be a part of our planning team, our execution team, anywhere in the world, we are in the current process of, we had to let go a tour of Africa. Actually, I had to let it go this year because of my stroke. It prevented me from going, but there was a plan to teach some business seminars and to do a musical tour, and we were going to set up JLT Records Africa. We have a lot of people that we are in touch with in Africa that are amazing musicians. Some of those people have moved here to Windsor, and we've actually worked with them, and they are connected to our JLT family already. We want to do a lot more, and so that whole aspect of building an African business and involving African musicians, some of the music that they do is beyond me musically, but I absolutely love it, and I participate with it and enjoy it. It's not something I would write, but it's something I would enjoy, and fortunately for me, they like my music. So it's in a very, very good synergy, and we're going to work together. Some of them are going to be my African touring band. So we're learning to fuse together and to relate to each other. So the four areas, I guess, if you want to buy in, there's the sponsorship level or the cash gift level. There's the come to the dinner level. And if you can't come to the dinner, at least we're welcome. We want to give you a CD because you couldn't show up and couldn't get anything out of it. That's $25, and that's carved in stone. So if you send us $25 and tell us where to send the CD, we'll send it to you. Then the third thing is, of course, the easy one, the email list, and that one costs you nothing. And then the fourth level, of course, is you want to buy in with your talents, your gifts. You want to become part of our team. You may not make the dinner. You may make the dinner. See us face to face. Some point, we want to build with you a face-to-face meeting. You can be part of our street team. Invite us to your town. It may not mean that you ever travel. It may mean that we come to you and we do music for you, or we do a seminar for you, or we do whatever it is on our radar that is part of what God has called us and purposed us, and the purpose for which my life exists will be multiplied. So you're invited to become a part of our team and to make us a part of your team. That is the option. That is what I told you was coming. And so the numbers on the table, the hard number is $25. The free option is there. The contribute your services is there. And the contribute your cash is there. And to work in a sponsorship way is there. So really 4 to 5 ways of becoming active with us. And we really can't encourage you enough right now, before you forget, and before it becomes less important to you, to make a decision to at least sign up for the dinner and tell us whether you're coming or not, and we'll decide. If you're coming, we'll be selling those CDs, and they'll be $25 in addition to the dinner. But if you're buying a $25 dinner and you can't come, then $25 is the fee, and we send you the CD without making it. Anyway, want to always give you value for anything that you invest. So please understand that. And even your time that is valuable. I hope we've given you something of value in this series. Go back and watch it again and again and again. There are some nuggets and some gems in this series. Okay? Love ya. Thanks. God bless you. We'll see ya.